Sword Talk, episode 17, take one. And Andre, I'm only going to send you one version because I think I only got one take in me, so sorry. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sword Talk. Wherever you are, however you found us, thanks for spending part of your day with us. As promised in the last episode, we're going to do something a little different tonight, and I hope you find some meaning in it. And if you do, maybe it's something you'd like to pass along to somebody else who might get something out of it. Again, my editors always remind me do the YouTube stuff first, so you don't forget, Tom. So here it goes. Always remember to subscribe. Please press like. Please leave comments, one way or the other. We appreciate them, and it really helps towards YouTube recognition points. That helps make this show easier to be seen by people around the world. We're just under 3 months, and I just really want to thank everybody for their support. It's going great, and I'm having fun, and it sounds like a lot of people are enjoying it. So thanks. Don't forget to visit our site. It's American-Samurai.com. Don't forget the dash. It's important. American-Samurai.com. Don't forget the dash. And that's the perfect lead-in for tonight's story. As many of you know, I'm from Italian-American descent. My parents were immigrants, and they grew up, as did I, in the South Bronx. My grandfather came to this country when he was 15 years old and lived his whole life in one tenement building in the South Bronx across the street from Yankee Stadium. He was actually a bricklayer for part of that time at Yankee Stadium when it was being built, the original Yankee Stadium. And then he went on to work for the railroad in New York. In that apartment building, he and my grandmother raised 10 children. 10. It's before the internet. It's before television. They probably didn't even have a radio. Pop was the fourth of what would be 6 sons and 4 daughters. My father's family, great. I loved my uncles and aunts and my cousins. It was great being part of a big family. My mother was educated in Italy, just enough schooling to learn how to read and write, just a year or two, and came to this country when she was 19. Pop went to a vocational high school where he learned a trade. Pop was always great with his hands. Pop could do anything. I can't. He could. And Pop was the kind of guy that anyone in our building who needed help knew they could count on Pop. Everybody loved Pop, universally. As I get older, I come to understand what a rare thing this is, to literally be loved by everybody. He was always there to help anyone in the neighborhood, and he was just a gentle, kind man. All my friends loved Pop. My sister's friends loved Pop. He was everybody's second dad. My mother was a feisty devil. I take a lot. I take after my mother a lot. And it was literally great arguing with Mom because we both had that kind of New York Italian temperament. We could give and take. We'd argue. We'd laugh in the middle of the argument. We'd go back to arguing. It was great. She always made me laugh. Unfair fighting. Pop, quiet, gentle. Hard to argue with Pop. Growing up, Pop and I had a wonderful relationship. It just we really were very, very close. One of the things we bonded over was sports. My team of choice was predetermined. We were Yankee fans. That was settled. Once a year, Pop would take me to a Yankee game, which are now remain wonderful memories for me. And the rest of the time, we'd listen to the Yanks on radio. Sometimes, if it was an important game and I had to get to sleep before the game ended, in the morning, I'd find a note on my pillow. Mickey hit 2 in the 8th and we won. We bonded over sports. And the one thing between us all those years was the simple act of playing catch. Pop would come home from a long day at work. Both Mom and Pop were factory workers all their lives. Pop had to take a train and 2 buses to get to work every morning. He left real early in the morning and came back late and tired. And it was just a simple act of throwing the glove and saying, let's go play a catch. Whether I initiated it or he did, it was just a father-son moment. Now, this being the Bronx, we were an hour away from anything that resembled grass or a park, so we went up on the roof of our tenement building. We lived on the 6th floor of a 6th-floor walk-up tenement in the Bronx. But it was actually 12 flights of stairs because between each floor there was a landing. And if that sounds like a lot of stairs to have to climb, you can imagine what our delivery people thought when they had to bring furniture, a couch or something up those 12 flights of stairs. But when they got there, Mom was always ready with some refreshment and almost always offer of food. And if Pop was home, he was right there helping them. So we'd play catch, and if it was raining, we'd play in the hallway. I'd go on the landing just above our apartment floor, and we'd play catch in the hallway. Sometimes we talked, sometimes we didn't. Everything was great. And then something happened. I became a teenager. And you probably know exactly what I mean because you've been there. Well, all of a sudden, practically overnight, this wonderful, kind, gentle, understanding man was wrong about everything. How does that happen? And I mean, the day I turned 13, just as soon as I got that teen in my age, I crossed that threshold where Pop was wrong and I just knew better. Throughout these teenage years, Pop and I had developed a little verbal shorthand. When Pop wanted to have a conversation with me, he first had to get my attention because I was always off running here, there, or whatever. So he'd say, can I have a moment of your time? And then after whatever was said, good, bad, or arguing, whatever, Pop would always end it by saying, thank you for your time. And that was the end of that. Well, this particular story occurs in the summer of my 17th year. It was a tradition in our family after my grandparents passed away that we'd all go out, all my aunts and uncles and cousins, to the cemetery to pay tribute and to have a picnic. And before you laugh and think that that's a little odd, this was not uncommon among immigrant families in New York. Maybe all over the country, maybe all over the world. I just know my experience. By the administration building, there was actually a group of picnic tables. It was a time for family to get together. It was to pay respect, to continue a tradition. And because we were Italians, we ate. We just a lot of food. I took this time to go over to Pop and inform him that this December I would be 18 and would no longer be subject to automatically coming to these kind of family events. After all, it was my summer and I was going to be an all-knowing man, right? So Pop says to me, looks at me, I was expecting, I wasn't expecting to get away with this. Pop calls me over and he says, can I have a moment of your time? So Pop calls me over and we walk to the edge of the cemetery. And he looks out over the field and he says, tell me what you see. It's a cemetery, Pop. I see dead people. Well, I didn't want to be a smartass about this. Yes, I was a smartass at that time. Probably still am, but I also wanted to be respectful. And I could see that something was going on here. So I said the same thing, but I just said it in a much more respectful manner. I said, well, Pop, it's a cemetery. Dead people. He never looked at me, kept on looking off into the distance, and he continued. He said, all these people, all different lives, different races, different creeds, different religions, different hopes, different dreams. And now that they're dead, only 3 things mark them down. I always remembered that phrase, mark them down? I mean, all of a sudden my father had become Charles Dickens. I mean, who talks like that? Nobody I knew talked like that. It's like Pop was channeling Shakespeare or somebody. 3 things mark them down. Well, as I said, something was going on here, and so he had definitely gotten my attention. He continued. He said, on every cross, on every headstone, there's a date of birth, there's a date of death, and in between, a dash. Now, son, the years belong to God. The dash belongs to you. It's your life. And now that you're going to be a man, you get to decide. You get to decide how you're going to live, knowing that actions have consequences. Now, your mother and I have tried to raise you with values. We tried to teach you responsibility, God, family, tradition. We've tried to teach you that attitude is important because life is going to throw things at you that are beyond your control. And how you handle them will be a test of your character. Now, he continued, your mother and I have done our best. We've tried to teach you these values. I regret that we have not been able to give you more material things. But you will always know, I hope, and remember that you were raised in love. And that you'll remember that everything that you do is a reflection of that character. I've tried to teach you, work hard, do the best you can so you can be the best possible person you can be. It's a lot of life to fit into that little dash. But the dash belongs to you. Well, this was the most serious speech my pop had ever made in his life. Certainly the longest speech. I mean, even the birds and the bees speech we got through a lot easier than this one. This one was awkward and left an awkward silence at the end. And I wanted to lighten the moment, but again, I didn't want to be disrespectful. So I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, is that some ancient Italian wisdom, Pop? But it had just the opposite effect. He became almost embarrassed. He looked down, he shrugged his shoulders and looked up to me and said, I read it in a Hallmark card. Well, we both laughed and hugged. And it was quite a father-son moment. I wish now that I had known then that expression that I learned later on in my samurai training. You take wisdom wherever you find it, even if it's in the Hallmark graduation card. I never forgot that story. And I think of it every time in each episode when I tell you or remind you about the dash. I always say, it's American dash, samurai, don't forget the dash. The dash is important. Some of you have noticed that I sometimes look down. Sometimes I touch my heart and point to the sky. And it's because not only am I reminding you, I feel I'm also reminding myself. And in some ways, I'm sending a message to Pop. I remember, Pop. I remember what you told me. The dash is important. Work hard. Do the best you can to be the best person you can possibly be. I'm working on it, Pop. It's been 34 years since Pop died, and the cliche is, I think about him all the time, but that's not without work, because I have a picture of my Pop and I here on Carmel Beach. It's the last photo that was taken of us together. It sits on my desk by my computer, and when I do these Sword Talk episodes, he's here. I just had a camera range. Sometimes you notice I'll look down. And now you know the rest of the story. Anyway, next time on Sword Talk, we'll actually talk about a sword, I promise. In the meantime, thanks for your patience. Appreciate it. And do leave comments. And I guess the best way to close is to quote Pop. Thanks for your time.
Showing me good from bad. I guess I'm only really trying to say thank you for being my dad. Thank you for being my dad.